And we are live. It's Tuesday again. Can you believe how fast they come round? We are here again, and we are the Sacred Relationship Lab. Stacy Taylor, men's coach, and me, Joanne Webb, the happiness hustler, women and teen coach. Ooh, there's a lot going on in the cosmos, in the world, isn't there?
Yeah, life's interesting, isn't it? Like once you start this journey, there's just no hiding from anything. So yeah, and we're all doing the work, we're all going through it. So yeah, it's
Mm.
good to be able to have. I think it's good to be able to have this kind of container or space for people to ask questions, to just tap in, to listen. I was sharing this with a friend the other day. We learn all this stuff, but we don't learn how to relate. We don't learn about relationships. We don't learn about ourselves. So it's awesome to be able to create this space, but give people an opportunity to ask questions or step in and find some answers or get a different point of view on things. So yeah,
Yeah, I agree. Are we okay just to dive in on a question?
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, because I've got a beautiful question from a woman who has done lots of work,
Yeah.
kind of, on that spiritual path, very spiritual. And she says, I'm looking to date again.
Mm.
How can I tell if a man is in integrity? She used the word
You,
trust at first. She said, how can I trust someone? But then she changed it, how can I tell if a man is in full integrity? And I just want to hear it from a man's point of view. I just love this question.
it's a beautiful question. The first thing I'd say is the fact that you even asked the question shows that you're in integrity and you're trusting yourself. And one of the things that you'll notice is that any man that isn't in alignment, you'll almost feel a ick or a repellence to. And a man that's in integrity will take his time. He'll pursue you, he'll show up. You won't need to chase him, you won't need to look for validation. There'll be signs there. There'll be signs that this is the guy for you, and he'll take his time. And he'll court you, he'll pursue you, he'll romance you. And if you've done the work, enjoy it, and trust your intuition, right? But don't get too caught up, because one of the things I've really realized is when we come into integrity, the relationships that integrity at the root word means wholeness, right? So if you're in integrity, you're in wholeness. If you're in wholeness, guess what you're going to attract? Another whole individual. But when you really start to sit and look at the men that are coming your way, you won't attract the same men. And if you do, you'll feel this repellence to them. The men you used to be attracted to that you couldn't stop yourself going towards,
Hmm.
you'll just be like, no way. And just stop it right there. Bang. No, I don't want to go there. I'm not even going to waste my time there. Because every time you cut off an energy of a lower energy, you are actually allowing the universal God to bring in what it is that you want. And just notice his actions, not his words. If I can give woman one piece of advice in the modern dating world, don't listen to a man's words, watch his actions.
Yeah, actions speak louder than words. It's so true, isn't it? I mean, we have so many little phrases and cliches that we throw around, but that one is so potent and so true.
That will tell you everything you need to know about a man that you're going to date. And
Mm.
that's probably trust yourself and enjoy the process. You've earned it.
I love that. I love what you've said about, they will pursue you, they will take their time. I love that. The first thing that came to mind for me was boundaries.
Mm.
He will respect your boundaries and he also will have his own boundaries, because we cannot respect somebody else's boundaries if we don't have our own. So, whatever boundary, and if your boundary was, let's take it slow, then that's the boundary that he will adhere to. It's all about, will he listen and will he respect your boundaries? Because if he's going to cross over them right at the beginning, the actions are speaking louder than the words. Another thing I thought about was like honesty, like no game playing. I'm just not a game player. It's like, oh, I might phone you tomorrow, or I'll text you sometime. And then how many days do you have to wait for a text? I mean, I understand there's taking it slow and not rushing it, but keep the lines of communication open without the games, without the silliness, not having to second guess. And if you have to second guess yourself, like, oh, should I text or should I not? There's some energy there around that. If you're questioning that, if you don't feel comfortable that you can, then it's a conversation to be had. And
Yeah.
what else did I write down? Yeah, energy. As you said, Stacey, we pick up on people's energy. Somebody will either come to you or repel you. But um, from somebody who has had relationships with people who are very good at putting on a facade at the beginning, the telltale signs were always there. No matter how
Yeah.
much of a facade they put on, the narcissist that I was with was extremely charming at the beginning, but let out some little clues. And I didn't hang on to those little clues at the time because I wanted to believe the other stuff. So
Yeah.
just be careful with what you're believing, because yeah, people can put the facade on, people can come along into your life who are not trustworthy. But you know what? The red flags are always there. Just don't ignore them, because when we ignore them, we shoot ourselves right in the butt cheek.
Yeah. Yeah. And games are the big one. If they're
Mm,
playing games, just exit out.
mm,
And leadership, is he leading? Because ultimately, if you've done all this work as a woman, you're looking for a man that can lead you, right? That wants to step up, that has that masculine energy, that protector, that provider, that space holder, the containment that you're looking for. Don't settle.
don't
Don't
settle.
settle.
There's that
Right?
program, I can't remember what it is, but and you get the woman's going, oh, but he's fine. And then the guy steps in, he goes, fine, fuck, fine. You deserve way more than fine. And she's like really gobsmacked, because that's what we do. Oh, well, he's okay in that area or not okay in that area. No, raise your standards and set them
Yep.
high, and don't lower them. Like I heard somebody say something really sad yesterday, like, I'm just frightened that the person I want is not out there. And I'm like, but the person you want is already in here. It's already in here. And there's nothing to be scared of when we know that the person's in here. Because once we know ourselves so much, once we like and love and value and appreciate ourselves, well, why wouldn't there be somebody else out there for us?
Life's a mirror, it's not a window. I say this all the time. Your frequency is what you will frequently see. Now, if you've done the work and continually doing the work, there's a part of you that's already saying, I'm ready to go into a conscious relationship. I'm looking for my opposite or my mirror of who I am. I'm ready for that. It doesn't mean it doesn't come with challenges and growth and expansion. But when you know yourself, Bruce Lee said, to know thyself is to know others. When you dissolved all those lower frequencies, like I said, there'll be a way he speaks, there'll be some word he says or some energy, and you'll go, don't, don't go anywhere near that man. Goodbye. And then the next one will come, there'll be this calmness, the strength, the stoic, almost even a little bit of fuck you energy, because that's a real masculine man. His most important thing is his purpose, right? But that doesn't mean he disrespects, because a man who honors himself honors everyone in his life. So look for that in a relationship.
Mm,
And take your time, get to know them, form a little bit of a friendship. Like in this dating culture where it's just sex from the bat and everything's built off this energetic connection, just take your time a little bit, slow it down.
mm,
Like, form a friendship. Can I have a relationship where there's a friendship in this? And then build it up. And a man like that will take his time, but he also won't fuck around when he knows
mm,
that he wants you. He'll let you know.
mm. I
Yeah.
love it. And I think, you pick up on that energy as well, don't you? Like, if you can be truly you, like, we talk about integrity. If you can show up in integrity and in true authenticity and be truly you, you can feel how that is received, because that's a big one as well. You can feel it, whether it's something that's really attractive or not, or if you feel like you've got to hide a part of yourself. If anything like that comes up, then it's a definite no. But if you can feel like you can shine and somebody wants to help you shine even further with their energy, then that's a big indicator for me. And that's like in friendships or in romantic relationships.
And I think a big thing in this space, I'm talking to a lot of people, is there's a lot of spiritual fuckboys out there.
Oh yeah.
A guy that looks like he's the fucking guru and looks masculine and feels masculine and says all the right things, but just look at their language, look at their sexual energy. Are they leaky with it? Like, just use discernment.
Mm,
You've done all this work. You don't have to rush.
mm,
Like, you actually get to choose or attract in a man that chooses you fully. yeah, you might go through a few and have to say no or walk away or see the red flags and go, oh, but he's this or he's that. Well, if we choose something and we know it, they've done nothing to us, we've done it to ourselves. So, you know, there's a lot of fear going back into dating, but just use your discernment and you'll want to talk to your girlfriends about them.
Mm.
You want to share them with the world. But a man in integrity is what you want, a man that pursues you, that honors you, that respects you, but also has boundaries. And yeah, if you're ready for that, power to you, you deserve it.
Mm. I heard this lovely tip years ago as well. And it was like, when you first meet somebody, remember, sometimes you can get your love goggles on because we get
Oh
this,
yeah.
like flood of oxytocin. It's like, oh, they're amazing. They're wonderful. And say you go on like, 3, 4 dates. On the fifth one, accidentally on purpose, run into some friends and let them check them out. Because let your bestest friend who you absolutely trust their opinion, check them out because they can often see the flags if you've got your love goggles on. Now, if you've
Mm.
done a lot of work, hopefully you can remove those love goggles and you can come from a different place. But we can all be swept away. We're all human. So allow your friend to have an opinion and get them to check them out when you accidentally on purpose run into them in a restaurant.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the big thing is you'll know there'll be a part of you that's drawn to a certain type of man because it's all you've ever known, but even though you've done the work, there's still that there. But when you actually just take a second and breathe and listen and watch their body language and feel their energy, you'll go, fuck, I don't want anything to do with that guy.
Mm,
That's not the one for me. And then you'll almost feel a little bit of fear when you get around the right guy, the masculine guy, because it's like, oh, fuck, I actually like this, but it's not familiar. I don't know this, but it's what I'm craving as a woman. And then just allow, slow, take your time. If sex gets involved very early, you can form like the goggle connection because oxytocin gets released. That's a bonding chemical. And often you can get yourself hooked to something that you weren't really wanted, and then it's harder to get out of. But give yourself some grace too. We're human beings. We can make the odd mistake, but just trust yourself. You're ready. You wouldn't have asked the question if you weren't.
mm.
Uh,
Oh, I love that. What a beautiful question. And it
yeah,
and it applies to everyone, doesn't it? Men, women, whatever. It's a great question. So
yeah,
yeah, good luck on your search for love. Mwah.
yeah, yeah. Let us know. Let us know down the track out if it pans out, and yeah, I'd love to know how it went for you.
Me too. We want to live through other people's lives now. We're living vicariously through others' dating lives.
That's it.
I
That's
love
it.
it. Oh,
Yeah. So I got a question.
go on.
Came from a woman. Is how can I attract in a man that makes me feel safe?
It's kind of a similarish question, I guess, isn't it? How can I attract in a man that makes me feel safe? Well, one, do you feel safe?
There you go.
Do you feel safe?
Yeah.
Because if you're not safe, as Stacy says, we're frequency,
Yeah.
and you're not when everybody else is your mirror. So first and foremost, do you trust in yourself? Do you feel safe? Do you feel secure? Because that reptilian part of the brain, the first bit that is there and is in every single animal, is for safety and security. They're the first things we want when we're children, and we think it's outside. But
Mhm.
look at the world. It's not that safe. You could walk out the house and be hit by a bus, be hit on the head by a branch and be killed. It's not that safe if we look at it like that. Safety's in here. It's in how we feel about ourselves, and if we're in line with our values, and if we are in integrity and in our own authenticity. How are you showing up? Because if you show up in that place of safety where you know yourself, where you value yourself, appreciate yourself, love yourself, like yourself, work on the bits that you don't like, absolutely every time. But if you can feel safe within your space, if you know you're safe to feel your emotions, safe to allow your emotions to come out, to honor them, safe to have an opinion, to look at the thoughts in your head, to challenge them, to see what is your truth and what isn't your truth. Once you come to that place of safety, true safety, and that takes brutal honesty, by the way, because we can bullshit ourselves a lot. So if you feel safe and secure and in your fullness, well, then that is what you will attract.
Yeah, couldn't have said it any better. I share this with a lot of my clients, female and male. Like, no one can actually make you feel a certain way if you don't feel it internally. So if you have this feeling of unsafe, you'll attract the man that's unsafe eventually. You may not, initially, they won't start off like that, but eventually you'll be basically faced with the mirror of the own feeling of unsafety. Now, there's a difference, right? If I do the work and I come back to the state, I'll attract the man, but I don't need him for my own emotional safety, right? He might be there as a physical protector, provider, creator, and to hold space and contain my emotions, but I feel safe as I am as a woman or as a human being to be myself. That's really what we're saying is there's just this part of us that I don't feel safe to be me in the world authentically. That's really what unsafety is I've put on the masks and at a deeper level, I'm afraid of being exposed. And so, if you grew up in an environment where dad was emotionally unsafe, he had some mental health issues, some addictions, or maybe on the surface, everything seemed perfect. If you're attracting in men that are unsafe, it's because he was energetically and emotionally unsafe or unavailable for you. And that's just become familiar. So although you consciously say you don't want it, subconsciously it's your template for love. So you attract them in to see it, dissolve it, resolve it. And then when you feel safe, you'll attract the man that's the same. And it's vice versa for men. It's just life's a mirror, it's not a window. It's such a hard concept to really grasp the level of this that everything, and I'm telling you, everything that you are seeing in your external reality is a mirror of your internal self. You're just in the matrix creating your own reality. But like I shared with a client, from the minute we're born, we're taught, like Joanne said, everything's out there. I need to get love, I have to become something, and I need to create a life. That's back to front. We've got it back to front because we're spiritual beings. When we're in integrity, when we're in wholeness, our world will match. It's a mirror. It has to. That's why I say you can't get love and you can't create abundance. They are your natural state of being. So just work on yourself till you reveal why you don't feel safe. Release that energy of that. Bring awareness to the programming around it. Boom, it'll just quantum mechanics. You'll shift your external reality like that.
I love it. And questions you can ask yourself is, where am I not showing up authentically? Where am I not shining? It might be like, oh, I can't do that with that person because we'll have a look at all the reasons. Because that's one thing, as you said, Stacey, if we are in full safety, we can show up fully.
Yeah.
I don't, like I remember at school, like you the kid who wanted to put the hand up, but you didn't, because why? Because you were frightened of ridicule. You were frightened to be picked on or belittled or made to look stupid, whatever. So, so then through life, do you show up and do you ask the questions, or are you still that scared child? And that's just one little example. There's so many. But once you can love yourself, like yourself, appreciate yourself, value yourself, then all of that stuff starts to fall by the wayside, only because you can't do anything but show up authentically, and because you don't care.
Yeah.
It's like it's this, yes, ask the questions, but also find out, do I love myself? Ask yourself the question, do I really love every single part of me? What is the voice in my head saying to me on a daily basis? Start to bring awareness around all of these things, because these are all clues whether you feel safe or not.
And this might be another little powerful help is all of you are naturally loved. That's our natural state of being, love. All you can put in front of that is lack, limitation, guilt, shame, fear, resentment, humiliation, right? So yes, I can try to love myself, but it's more about dissolving what's in front of my natural state of being, which is love. Go back and dissolve that hurt. Go back and dissolve that sadness. Go back and dissolve that resentment. Like, just keep stripping it away, and you'll come back to your natural state of being, and then you'll feel love, and then it'll scare you because it's not familiar. So you'll revert back to a few of your old ways, and then you work through it again. Some more layers come back. But, you look at a kid, they're not trying to love themselves. You look at a little kid in the playground or out there having they're not trying to love themselves. They are pure love and light. And when you can realize that that can also be a bit of a flaw, as I've got to love myself, then you're trying to do something that's actually your natural state of being.
Mm.
Right? If you actually look at a child, you guys will really get this now. You'll go, fuck, he's right. They're not trying to love, they're just love and light. They're free, wild, and love. And so all we do is unconsciously is go, oh, love and light is too dangerous. So I'll put a bit of guilt there, I'll put a bit of shame there, I'll put a bit of sadness there, anger, resentment. Do that 20, 30, 40 years, you'll be trying to love yourself because you're in such a dark hole. So it's like just dissolve it, dissolve it, dissolve it. Now that doesn't mean have self-love practices and things that make you feel good and honor yourself, but just dissolve everything that's in the way of your natural state of being, which is love.
Mm. And again, goes back to that childhood crap that we keep talking about. Because as Stacy says, you love to see those lovely like 3-year-olds, and they might have a tutu and a Batman mask on, and lipstick and whatever. And it doesn't matter if they're a boy or a girl, they're dancing around, they're having the biggest joy of their life. They could be smeared in mud as well. It doesn't matter. They're having a great time. They don't worry about what people think of them. They're having a fab time. But then it does start to creep in. Look at age like 4 or 5, when maybe somebody laughs at them, and maybe they love the laughter, or maybe they're embarrassed at the laughter, and we start to go within. And we talk about this all the time. Your childhood doesn't have to have been harrowing or anything. It might just be one of these beautiful childhoods that you've had, but somewhere along the way you've had these restrictions and things put on you, which has got you in the way of your natural state of being love. So yeah, it's like, where am I not showing up? Where am I not being allowed to be whole? Where am I pulling myself back? Where am I playing small? Where am I beating myself up? These are all the clues, and then you'll find where it originated from, somewhere probably between the ages of 0 and 10, I'd imagine.
Yeah, yeah. You just got to understand it, guys, is that when you're born, you can't feed yourself, you can't look after yourself, you can't change your own nappy, you can't go to the toilet. You're like an empty computer. So that first 7 years, you are in that hypnotic state, being programmed by what you see, what you feel, and what you experience. And around 7, most of the programming's done, and then children are going in and out of that state. They go into some level of consciousness, and then they go back into that theta, the hypnotic state. But every client I work with, there's an experience between 12 and 14 years old that's too overwhelming, that activates their adult brain for the final time, and then leaves a negative program in there, and then all that program is locked in. That is now your template of love. This is the type of people that I grew up with. That's what I'll attract. This is the type of money I have. That's what I'll attract. This is everything. And so, and I work with multi-millionaires that the gap is so small, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. You wouldn't believe how much they suffer, because money can't buy you freedom from here. That's the one thing it can't give you. You've got to face yourself, and you've got to go towards it and dissolve it. And once you do, you start to find levels of freedom and peace and abundance that you've never known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this before, because Mike Tyson puts it beautifully. Mike Tyson was the biggest star of his time at one point. Wasn't he? He'd come from rough upbringing. He was one of the most phenomenal sportsmen, boxers in the world. He had all the fame, all the riches, went to all the parties, had all the jewels and the cars and the this and the that and the tigers, I think, whatever he had. And he found happiness when he was in prison.
Yeah.
Because why? Because he found peace. He found peace. And why did he find peace? Because he stripped away all the shit and did the inner work, and he found inner peace. And you know what? There is nothing more glorious than inner peace. And inner peace is the most safest, most beautiful place to be. And once you find inner peace, that's your inner sanctuary, that's your inner safety.
Well, if you look at Mike Tyson, he was worth 300 million at the peak of his career, right? So that would be like a billionaire now.
Mm-hmm.
He came from an average poverty line where people couldn't even pay their rent and had 5 to 10 people living in a house. But his hype and success drove him to those heights so quickly that one day that just triggered the survival mechanism that said, "What the fuck, Mike?" And then it looked like he was ripped off. He went self-sabotage. He ended up, Conor McGregor's the new Mike Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Conor McGregor self-imploding his life, If he just stopped and trying to get it back in the external world and went in and dissolved those internal limitations and fear, he'd stop it. If he doesn't, he'll be the next Mike Tyson. He'll erode everything that he's built through trying not to erode it.
It just, yeah, as you say, it's self-sabotage, isn't it? It's like, I don't deserve this. And nobody in the world often would think I don't deserve this, or maybe they do ever so slightly, but it's that subconscious program. This is too good to be true. I don't deserve this. This is all going to end. So before it ends, I'm going to ruin it all. Yeah, it goes crazy, doesn't it? And but as you say, we see it time and time again in the world that we live in.
And it's even at a deeper level, it's yes, there's self-sabotage, but it's actually that's just your protection mechanism that says, hey, this isn't what your childhood said is right for you, is safe for you, is known for you. So yeah, because we live in this modern world with Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, and we can have possibility and dreams and see they did it, so I can do it. But if it's not in alignment with that template, when you get outside of that, that part of you that's still a child's going to go, man, you're not meant to have all that money, success, fame, and joy and love. We'll protect you and bring you back to where you're meant to be. Right. And then you get defeated, you try to get it back. Just go and dissolve it, and then it'll just flow to you, but you won't need it anymore. That's the paradox of this. The very thing you want right now, you won't need it once you do the inner work. Once you don't need it, it'll just show up in an abundance.
So true. It's just so true. But you have to wait and see. Do the work and watch it happen, and then come and tell us we're right.
Yeah. Like even I shared that with you, eh? If someone, I'm talking to people now, like that were me 4 years ago, like, and they're like, this fella's a bit cooked, but there's a part of them that knows. And I'm like, I love the skeptic because I was, bring it. Because when you're skeptical, there's no weight to it. You're not expecting an outcome. And that's when you usually get the biggest breakthrough because you're like, you come in and you're like, oh yeah, I've got to be here because I've got to do something different. And I can't keep doing it. And then you come in and you're really skeptical. You're sort of in, but you haven't brought in. And then all of a sudden, you go through one experience and the blinders come off and you're like, holy shit. Watch it happen.
Yeah, I agree. I love it. Yeah, I remember seeing one person, he said to me after he went, only 45 minutes. He went, I've learned more in this 45 minutes than I learned in years of counsel. And I went, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom with your breakthroughs.
Yeah.
I know. It happens fast and furious. Well,
they were amazing. That's why you need a coach, right? You need a coach,
totally.
right? Someone who can reflect into your blind spots so you can see.
And you need coaches in different areas of life, don't you? I was just at a business networking group that I run locally. And, I never thought I was a business coach, but as it happens, it's all just the same. It's all just the same, and I've owned several businesses. So, but sitting there and just coaching, and then we're all in the same kind of realm, but it's like, you none of them could really see their blind spots today. So until it's pointed out to you, and they're like, oh yeah, okay. And it's like, then it just moves really quick.
Yeah.
And I love it. That's why I surround myself with other coaches. My friends are coaches, and then they are so not going to accept my BS. They're like, come on, that's not true.
Well, I've had 3 sessions with a coach for myself in the last 10 days. Because there's some stuff come up and I'm like, all right, I can't see. You can see everyone else's bullshit but your own. Tell me I'm wrong.
Exactly. That's why we should never judge.
So I sat down the other day. No, I'm not going to get this. Reach out to this person. 1 hour later, boom, 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 boom. Oh, okay, next one. Boom, 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 boom. But you're the greatest investment. I want to get that across to people too. People are buying cars, houses, holidays, trips. Beautiful, but invest in yourself. Like put some time, money, and resource into yourself, and it pays returns. Trust me.
It really does. Best money I've ever spent.
Yeah.
And continue to spend. Oh, on that beautiful note, I'm just going to say thank you to the listeners who sent in some questions because they were both really potent questions. And, I think the questions that will resonate with lots of people. That's why I love these questions. You're the one person at home thinking you've got to ask it. It's like the kid in the classroom puts their hand up, who's too frightened to ask. But these questions resonate with people, and I think when I look back on my life, they both resonate with me from in past versions of me and stuff. And absolutely. So I think they're beautiful questions. So thank you for sending them in.
Yeah, definitely. It's you can get insight from someone else's questions or someone else's breakthrough, because we're all very similar energetically. So yeah, thanks to the people that have the courage to ask. I know it's challenging sometimes and sometimes not, but let us know. Let us know how it's helping you, some breakthroughs. If you want to reframe a question or you're still challenging with someone, bring it all to the table. We'd love to. Yeah, we love it all.
Here, and we will be back next week at the same time. See you next week.